Good evening. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Manchester United Agenda. I hope you're all doing very well at the start of the week and you're ready to attack it and accomplish everything. Amanda, are you ready to accomplish everything, attack the week, get stuck in?
Yeah, as Robin Williams would say, seize the day. Dead Poets
Who?
Society, isn't it?
I think he did, didn't he? In Mrs. Doubtfire, he said he says carpe diem in the Dead Poets Society, which means seize the day.
Okay.
And in Mrs. Doubtfire, he said carpe dentum, which means seize the teeth, because he dropped his false teeth. And I always thought it was a very good bit of improvised Latin humor.
Okay. So it's still connecting the two films in a way by saying that. Very good. I've never seen the film. I've seen Miss Doubtfire, but I have seen it, but I can't remember anything about it. Seize the Day. I forget what it's called now. I just named it, didn't I?
Dead Poets Society.
Dead Poets Society, yeah. But I need to watch it again because that brings up. Yeah, how's everything with you, Bath Time? How's your weekend? How's your health, your family, everything good? You know, have to touch base with you.
My health isn't great because I saw a video clip of a woman that plays for the Irish national team taking throw-ins that I think I sent to you.
Yeah, I see. Yeah,
I went and practiced that on Sunday, and my back is absolutely done in today.
Oh God!
Like, I really want to add that to my set piece game. 40.
How far did you get the throws?
Not very far.
So do you think it's down to technique then?
It's 100% down to technique.
Yeah.
And it's if anyone's seen that clip, I might see if I don't have access to the Twitter account anymore. I might see if we can get it posted on the Twitter, because it's incredible. This 23-year-old girl is throwing the ball like further than like most people can kick it with accuracy, power, velocity. And I'm just there thinking, can Luke Shaw and Wan-Bissaka Dalot not learn this? Because if we can like lob everything in, that would be fantastic. I love a good long throw.
But, you know, people say that it's negative because obviously Rory Delap used to do it and Stoke used to do it, and you know nothing beats a short throw-in. I think if you were
a short throw-in,
if feet and back, that sort of thing, get the ball playing into play, that kind of thing. Because obviously for the throw-in, you're coming from that angle, and I think they've changed the rule, haven't they, recently about the throw-ins, about foul throws. Whereas before, you know, it was clear what a foul throw was. These days, they get a bit more leniency towards throw-ins. But
I don't know. I think like Martinelli, was he not sent off last season in 10 seconds for doing for getting a yellow and then taking a foul throw?
I think this season they've been a bit lax more with the ruling about the foul throw. But just asking you for Bath Time, you know, you talk about the long throw. It's a positive, isn't it? It is a positive. It doesn't matter.
Long throw, absolutely.
Whatever. Yeah, it's a positive thing.
I mean, this might be because we played in lower leagues and the Premier League, but I mean, I absolutely love getting everything in the box at any opportunity, like free kick, throw in, anything. Like get it in there. Like and I mean, like with Rory Delap and that, I can remember a goalkeeper conceding a corner instead of a throw in, because they were so scared of those long throws. And I think that I mean, I've always said that I think you need 5 players in your team that can dominate in the air, right? Which is why I'm always a little bit iffy about Martinez, for example. And I think that if we've got 5 players that can head the ball and we can get it in the box from 20 yards, only 20 yards into their half every time with a long throw, I think it's such a weapon against the sort of smaller, less physical teams that we come across.
Growing up with playing football and thing, I was always told, always throw it down the line, don't throw back, just throw. It's about like rugby union, sort of getting further up the pitch and sort of about spacing, because they said never throw it back. But I think these days you got to be comfortable to come receive the ball, go look one way, and then throw it back and start again and recycle the ball. But I was always told as a youngster, this is a different era of football, throw it down the line, never throw it back. You get in trouble if you throw it square or behind you. Always.
It's really interesting that in Chile we used to work on rondos for throw-ins, where essentially what you wanted to do was you never threw it down the line. like for a guy to win the header. You did like you got in a rondo structure. You all moved about, and the aim was to get it to someone in the center to switch play. Like that was like the throw. That was the throw-in routine.
Beautiful. It's very. You're so lucky to be able to play in a foreign country and realize the differences in football, the art of football. They would enjoy that. Over here, you see, like what I was telling you, it was like anti short throw-ins or anything like that, always down the line. It's a very different game.
I noticed Tabrice, who people should know as like the amateur football or whatever his channel's called, who comes on the eye test sometimes. He sent me like video footage of his team play. And the thing that annoyed me most was watching their throw-ins because they were all down the line to like the big guy, and they didn't have enough people around for the second ball and stuff like that. And Box doesn't come to this parish too much anymore, but I remember me and Box used to have very long conversations about how disappointed I was with United's throw-ins. And I thought about doing something this year, but I couldn't justify an hour and a half eye test on throw-ins. But United throw-ins have improved. And Vincent has,
I was going to say, Brian Robson, if you ever watched Brian Robson play, because I used to watch him like religiously, Captain Marvel. Short throw-ins, always feet and back, bam, feet and back, bam. He mastered it. It's like he must have worked in that drill all his life. Throw in, give it to Robson, he'd come late, bop, feet and back, and his touch. That's quite difficult, isn't it? If a ball's coming to you from this sort of 6 foot high, you have to bring it down.
Yeah, it's an unusual angle to control, isn't it? Like you don't receive that a lot. But I mean, I haven't seen a lot of Robson, to be honest. He's before my time. I've only seen highlights and stuff. But I bet you that when he received the ball and they gave it back, there was a plan. It wasn't just like you don't want your fullback receiving the ball next to the touchline with everyone on him. You want to get it. You want to get it into a central area and then switch it and make that pitch wider. Like a throw in as a set piece, and it should be treated as such, leading to you to get a cross or a pass or into a dangerous position. Like Vincent, I wanted to bring up here, has brought up a guy who went to Liverpool. He actually has a YouTube channel and a Twitter account and stuff. And annoyingly, all of his stuff is paywalled because I've always been very interested to see what he has to say about throw-ins, but he's completely correct. Like the year that Liverpool won the league, they got a throw-in coach, and they did start scoring more goals from throw-ins, which it shows the level of detail that you need in the Premier League. Like, I mean, think of how many throw-ins you get a match. It's definitely something that should be coached highly. But anyway, I want to talk to people in the comments as well, Amondo. First of all, we got Steph say, "Oh, The Undertaker or Death, you decide." Right, boys, I made a thumbnail this evening using my large language model. So it's like AI generated. And I'm very interested if you boys like it or not, because most fan channels have really boring thumbnails. They're always yellow and red, like McDonald's with a picture of a bald man. And I want one that makes us stand out a little bit. Robin, hello. You're saying an amazing image as you come out of your tent. It's Solo. Hello, Solo. Hope you're doing well, my friend. And it's Eddie. That thumbnail is ominous. I think Ten Hag may be on his last legs too. Yeah. Well, look, Steph, I demand attendance like during my shows, but to get an ice cream, I can let you off like that. Bilal says it looks like a horror game. Is this picture in memory of Ten Hag? I think the theme is that it's kind of a dead man walking. Like that's how I feel about Ten Hag at the moment. And all the way from the spooky state of Pennsylvania, it's DK Wilson who's bigging everyone up. And then we've got Vincent, we've got Kieran saying he loves Mrs. Doubtfire. James is here. Andrew is coming in with an apology about one of his prophecies. And also, for some reason, saying foreplay is overrated. But Bilal has come back and says that he enjoys foreplay. And then there's some stuff about basketball. Do you like basketball?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so two-handed over-the-head pass was a common full-court hoop pass. I mean, is this just a Hail Mary, lob it up the field and catch it?
Yeah,
Job?
Yeah. If you get a rebound or something, you want to have a fast break or someone's further at the pitch. So you want to throw it a long distance like that. I've seen some guys Magic Johnson, for example, he would be able to sort of boom, swoop the ball like that, or do like a throw in, a football soccer throw in to get there to the distance. Depends how good you are. Like you said earlier about the woman with his great long throws. Technique, it all comes down to technique, doesn't it? Whatever suits you. It's like throwing a cricket ball. I love cricket. I used to play a lot of cricket, but I can never, if the ball went to the boundary, I could never throw it like that. Whip it. You need to have a bit of whip. Throw all the way back to the wicket without bouncing.
Sort of in the hips, in it, like that sort of.
It's like a whip, like a little wrist thing, like that. So yeah, every sport's got its little fine details of how to get the technique right.
And we've also got Ed Mayhem saying that he thinks Ten Hag's time is up, and he thinks the proposed front runners are better options, not on your Nelly. Aside for that, evening, folks. Good evening to you, Ed. And,
hi, Ed. How you doing?
Yeah, I hope you're doing well. Right, so I've got a show for you this evening. This is what we're Ten Hag out question mark is going to be at the end. We've got some stuff to go through, which is McTominay out of the Euros? What news about the squad being out? There's some extremely boring financial stuff that we have to go over, but I'll make it as quick as possible. And then at the end, I've got some Erik Ten Hag stats for you, and will essentially, I think, will sort of say why I think the guy's a dead man walking and has already gone. So let's start first of all, Amonde. Have you seen the news today? Have you seen anything?
Unfortunately, I worked from 8. I was supposed to work from 8 to 4. But when I got there, I had to do overtime because no one was there to cover the evening. So I've had my head down all day in work. Didn't even had a little bit of sunshine and walked to the shop, but I haven't looked at my phone or much, as you know, because I didn't respond to your message you sent at 1 p.m. Yeah, sorry about that. So yeah, I haven't seen much news, to be fair. So I'm new to this, just like anyone in the comments who's new to this as well.
All right. So first of all, James Drucker, who writes for the Telegraph, has said that basically everyone is available for sale, except for.
Do you remember Ted DiBiase?
No.
The $1 Million Man. Everybody's got a price for the $1 Million Man. Your title there. Everyone has a price. It's like Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man from wrestling.
Nothing in life. Everything in life is negotiable, Amonde.
Very true.
And so basically, the only non-negotiables are Manu, Garnacho, and Højlund. But Rashford, McTominay, Bruno, everyone is like, if there's an offer that makes sense, the club will take it. And a guy who is closely connected to the club, who is called Muppeteers, is saying that he has consistently said that we shouldn't be looking at 80+ million players this summer. That his information is that the club will look to recruit at more 30 to 50 to 60 sort of range. And that's why we hear stuff about Olise for 45, 50 million and so on. Todibo, 40 million. These are the sort of players that we should expect to come in. I'm not sure this is a very good approach, Amonde.
Why not? Why would you say it's not a good approach?
The first reason is the homegrown law.
Yeah.
Right. So anyone who is under 21 at the start of the season can be in the squad. No questions asked. But you need at least 8 homegrown players in the 25-man squad.
Yeah.
We currently have 8 homegrown players in the squad with Jadon's. I'm not counting Jadon Sancho in that. And next season, Rasmus, for example, will be 21 and won't he won't be an under 21 player anymore. So if we sell the likes of Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, McTominay, Shaw, if we sell any homegrown player, we have to replace them. And I'm not sure that a flexible approach, which James Ducker is saying here, it doesn't sound right to me, Amonde. Then I think we need a strategy of let's solve the center of the midfield, or let's solve the left-hand side or the right-hand side of defense or attack or something and move on. Having an ultra-flexible approach is what landed us with Mason Mount in the summer instead of a centre-back or a CDM. What do you think to this? Tell me what your thoughts are.
Yeah, clearly. I mean, look, there's rules in place, and we have to manage how we build our squad, and we're not the only team. Everyone's going to have to go through this procedure. Look at Wolves, for example. They brought in all these Portuguese players, and they're going to have to sort of abide by the homegrown rule as well. So 8 players in your squad have to be played football between 18 and 21 in the UK to be qualified as homegrown. I know that. So it's important that we manage that situation. This is why we have to appreciate certain players who are at the club. If we're talking about having a clear out, we talk about Rashford, McTominay, Maguire, Wan-Bissaka. There's 4 players already that are homegrown in the first team squad. Luke Shaw and Johnny Evans, who's going to be probably retiring as well. So you count him out. I see Mason Mount. That's another one. And then you got Kobe Mainoo and Garnacho.
They're under 21 though.
Yeah, but they still qualify, don't they? Because they are.
Yeah, but like if it's under
Kobe Mainoo will, because he's British.
Yeah, but it's only for the under 21. You can have as many as you want in the squad.
Yeah.
When they're over 21, 8 of them have to be a minimum of homegrown. So next season, Rasmus is under 21 at the moment, so he can be in the squad and it doesn't matter. But next season he comes into that pool of players where some of them have to be homegrown, and also you have a squad limit, which is it a 25-man squad for the Champions League and a 32 or something for the Premier League, something like that.
I think going forward, it's important, Bath Time, that we do this youth development policy that we're going with now, which we start to have some good players come through, some talents. That's going to be of vital importance again, and I think that's good for the league, because you want to have more authentic teams, not like we've seen where the Galacticos or the Man Cities of this world that can just create teams, that are just fantastic, full of great names. You want to have an identity with your club as a fan. As a fan, I'd rather see. I don't mind having taken 2 steps back and not competing for the league for a couple of seasons, as long as we can develop players and bring them through. Do you remember after the Munich air disaster, we had a lot of young players. We had to start again and redevelop and take our time. It wasn't until 10 years later that we actually we proved our project, because we were forced into that. But this time we kind of our sort of arms being twisted into doing the same sort of strategy, and we need to manage this well. And I think I understand what you're saying. I don't want to buy an £80 million players anymore. It doesn't get you anywhere. Let's take a step back, and this is what the fan base. If there's a bit more transparency, a bit more communication, the board, whatever, or someone should speak out and say, "Hi, fans. This is a message for you. We have decided as Man United Football Club that we might not achieve anything in the next couple of years. We want to take a long-term strategy. I hope you're on board with us. That way, it will take the pressure off the manager and everyone else." A bit like when Wenger got rid of Highbury, or was a part of that, got rid of Highbury and got into a new stadium, and then said, in other words, look, we might not win anything for a period of time. You have to be patient. But the fans weren't patient. They were still.
It's taken 25 years to get back on, though, basically.
Yeah, well, it just shows you, doesn't it, when you do that, because Wenger came in, won instantly, had a great team last. Once they died out, as in they retired or moved on, he didn't quite reach those heights again, but it doesn't make him a bad manager, because he understood he left the club in a better state, because they got a new stadium, they invested in that, and they had to sort of be patient with it. But the fans are patient. The fans are the ones who are on the side. So I think long term, we've got a good strategy like that. Wheatley, left back, all these guys coming through. I'd be on board with that project, but they need to come out and say that to the fans, so all the fans know, okay, this is what's happening. Oi, stop moaning. Someone would say to Andy Tate in the crowd, "Andy, don't worry, we know where this is going. Haven't you read the project? Didn't you read the Matchroom program? They've explained what's going on here." Do you understand what I'm saying? That's what I
do, but this isn't what I think is happening. Okay. Because, right, first of all, when Jim came in and said like he wanted the core to be British players, makes perfect sense to me because of homegrown rules, where if Anthony was British, he'd be very easy to sell, right? Because you need a homegrown player. So you're taking less of a risk when you buy a homegrown player, because the Premier League is the richest league in the world. Everyone has a shitload of money, and they need homegrown players. So like when Branthwaite leaves Everton or something, that they will probably look to get a homegrown player in. You know, they might go and get, I don't know, Connor Cody or someone like that, or Max Kilman. Like, but they'll be looking for a British player because they're going to hold their value more than anyone else, like the English tax. But this is why the ultra flexible policy annoys me, because I think a proper football club would look at the youth that are dominating at every level, and would say, right, Harry Amas, we think he's 4 years off being a first team player. All right. So it's perfectly fine to go and get a left back now. Wheatley, he might be 18 months off. We're not sure. He needs a loan. I would prefer an approach to that where there's a system in place of how we want to play. We know what players we've got coming through, and we know what kind of players we need to come in. Whereas just saying everyone is for sale, or, you can buy anyone you want, we're going to have to deal with like Saudi Arabia thinking, do you know what, lads, instead of Casemiro and Varane, what about Bruno? Let's see if we can get him and things. And I think it's a poor idea what the club are doing. I do agree with you that we need a process in order to get somewhere. And what I like about Arsenal and Arteta is that they basically have looked at developing a team and a coach over 3 or 4 years to challenge Pep. And I think that with United, with Mainu, certainly with Garnacho, possibly with Rasmus, developing a young team and sort of growing with them might be the way to challenge City and Arsenal and Liverpool instead of Antony's, Mounts, Varane's, and Casemiro's.
Yeah,
but we need to do the comments. First of all, we've got Mr. POTUS all the way from the White House. He says, we are finished as a football club. Garnacho will be gone this summer. Mark my words. DK Wilson is saying, I have to agree, Heath is cooked. Bilal is saying, bad news for Scotland about the McTominay injury. It'd be so cruel, wouldn't it, if he's out of the Euros? Ed is just doing some ABBA lyrics. Oh, I haven't read this, so we'll see what it says. Did you see Old Trafford on the news tonight? Okay, Vincent, that is one of the stories that I have, and I've broken it down, and I've made it as easy to understand as possible, and hopefully we can just skim past it, because it's accountancy news. Elise won't go for less than 65 million. Okay, yeah, maybe. I'm not sure, but he's definitely a player that we've been linked with that is like lower. And Stuart Marshall is in the house. I'd love to get Stuart on soon.
How are you, Stuart?
What's that? Oh, he's telling me he's all right. Agile Beast, Tosun is a good option on a free and homegrown. If we get Frimpong, he'd be homegrown too, I believe. I think you're right. Frimpong was at Celtic. No, Frimpong was at Celtic when he was like 18 and 19. So he might have spent enough time in the UK to be homegrown.
I think it's English.
I think it can be from. I think it can be from the United Kingdom, because do you not remember we tried to get Di Canio to play for England once because of all the time he'd spent in Scotland and in England?
Okay, I thought it was maybe look into it. I thought it was being in Scotland. I thought it was because he'd been at Man City as an academy player, Frimpong. That was the reason why he might qualify. Might. Not sure.
Well, he's definitely at Celtic as well. So Stuart's free to come on this week. Excellent. Maybe a Thursday or Friday. Homegrown players should largely come through academy. I'm not in favour in spending overpriced on English players. They should do it for the next Rooney level type player. I mean, Rooney was, in my opinion, the best 17-year-old the world has seen since Pele. Yeah. Like, I think at 17, he was better than Maradona, Messi, Ronaldinho, all of them. Yeah. So it's very difficult to find a player like that. Garnacho and Mainu will leave this summer, fed up with all the nonsense in the club. I'd be surprised myself. Right. The boring financial stuff. All right. There's a lot of text here. I'm going to make it very, very simple. At the moment, squad costs, which is transfers, wages, and player agents' fees, are tied to a percentage of your income, right? Of how much money you generate as a football club. Today, the Premier League has voted that it will be 5 times the income of the bottom-placed team in the league. Okay. So everyone last season, Southampton made about 100 million, right, from broadcasting and commercial deals. Every club in the league would be allowed to spend 500 million on wages, transfers, and player agents fees. And that's it. That's the limit. So it's tied to how much money the bottom club makes in the league.
I don't like the idea that it should be based on what you can generate as a club without not talking about merchandise and that kind of things, what you can generate. We being the biggest capacity or whatever, we can generate a lot of fans coming in. And I think it should be based on that, what you can spend, you know? Well, it's interesting. I'd have to sort of, first I'm hearing this, but I don't know what they're trying to do.
This isn't confirmed, but it's incredibly likely to be confirmed. Okay. I believe only City and United voted. City, United, and Villa were the only clubs that voted against it, and pretty much everyone. Chelsea abstained. So the first thing I suppose you would look at is this is about the collective health of the league. Like, so if you look after the bottom place club, everyone will benefit. So I suppose that's good. But it's also like, it's also sort of bordering on a sort of communist plan. And I'm not sure how I feel about this, because I still think that what's going to happen is that the top clubs are going to, with an army of lawyers, find ways around it. And I'm not sure. I think that you need to accept that there are teams like Everton and Aston Villa that have access to money that they want to spend, and that they should be allowed to spend it. Like, but I don't know. This is one that I don't really know about.
Is it boring that the main team, the same teams? If you look at the Premier League, only 5 or 6 teams have won the league. Is that boring, or would they like to see a more competitive league where Everton can spend the same as, say, Man City, and they could end up winning the league one season? Can they maintain it? You know, it's going to change the way they approach, and I think this is a way of everybody getting fed. So it's going to be scouts, agents, football developers. Everyone will find there's a lot of money in football, so everyone's looking. I think this is a result of everyone is looking to get paid or get a piece of the pie, as they say. Maybe there's so many jobs around football these days that you see. So I think this enables everyone to get a slice.
And straight off the top of my head, some of the issues I see with this is that, let's say it's the last game of the season and you are playing Southampton and someone else is playing Everton, and they're in 19th and 20th, and Everton are making 130 million a year, and Southampton are making 110 million a year. It would be in everyone's interest for Everton to finish bottom and to give the win to Southampton. I don't like that. In fact, I'm going to look at the comments, because I think that this is. I don't think that this is very good, because I don't think it incentivizes clubs to work individually for success, which is kind of what sport is about. But we've got Stephanie, and she's back with chocolate eclairs instead of ice cream. Very good. 3 years between 15 through 21. He was at City then. So Frimpong is homegrown. That instantly makes him an extremely good signing, because we can get rid of Aaron Wan-Bissaka. All right, we've got 13 likes. Thanks, Steph. Rule change is not good for United. Does not factor in our income. I think this is a massive error from the English Premier League. I think Andrews is someone who works with numbers, and I tend to agree with him. My initial thoughts are that this isn't good, and he says it gives the clubs no motivation to bring in income. But what it certainly does is it gives the clubs motivation to pay over the odds for a player from the bottom club. I think the Premier League would lose a lot of fans worldwide if these rules happens. It sounds strange, but the reason is because you won't see all of the big stars on the same team. And do we have any American football fans in? I know Andrew is, but is this a sort of similar to a draft system or something where the bottom club is tied to
Yeah,
their transfers or
and
something.
NBA, they do that in the NBA as well.
Is it?
Yeah, so if you finish bottom, so that's like you were saying there. If it's Everton and Southampton, it's what's in best interest of the league that Southampton would be not relegated rather than Everton. Same happens in the NBA with the playoffs. Playoffs only, like I think whatever it is, the top 8 sides in the league go off to the playoffs. The other teams get first call in the draft. So if they know there's a great college player coming through to go pro, they would get first refusal on these guys. So in a way to balance out each team, to make each team competitive. But and it's true in the NBA. It's like New York Knicks. Everyone knows that name. They haven't won anything for years and years and years. They had a great team with Starks and that in the 80s, but since then they haven't really won anything. They didn't even win it back then. It's been, I think you have to go back to the 70s or something when the Knicks last won anything. But they got a good side this year, based on, I think the guy called Barrett came through, who I think they got the first or second refusal on. And now they're doing well, and they've got opportunity to maybe compete again. But I don't think this is the way to go. The more
it looks like this is the way. It looks like this is the way to go. But I mean, I don't understand it. Like, it's obviously the smaller clubs and mid-table clubs are doing this to try and close the gap, like where they think that the difference is money between the teams. And maybe what we'll see is, we'll see coaches and managers becoming even more important and executives becoming less important, because it doesn't matter if United get a £70 million a year shirt deal anymore. It matters what Southampton do. Right, change the rules to assist City from Steph. They voted against it. They don't like it. What's Andrew saying? The money will go in the back pockets of foreign owners who will take money abroad. And that is a very good point, because one thing that has always been said about the Premier League is that other leagues have always kind of laughed a little bit at us because we don't tend to do top transfers between each other. The money goes out of the league. And so maybe this is, I don't know, maybe this will insulate the league more. I'm not sure. I do think it would be great to implement. I'd like to see competition for sure. Tired of Pep winning it all. He's a fraud, in my opinion. Put Pep in charge of Luton Town, see what happens. Got Subvids, great thumbnail. Thank you, Subvids. I made that on my computer.
Come from Subvids. That's a good compliment, because it is good. Big up Bath Time. That was really, everyone's talking about it.
James just says that this is a crap idea. We deserve better, saying, look, this is just smoke and mirrors. And Andrew is saying, in the NFL, they all have the same income. So if the Patriots sell 300,000 jerseys and Oakland sell 56,000 jerseys, they still have the same income. I mean, look, as I say, I think this is a bit boring. And I believe that we will probably say something foolish, like about how this will encourage match fixing and relegation. But this is something that we'll probably see develop over the summer. But my initial thought is that this is just going to lead to more creative accounting and cheating and stuff. All right. McTominay is out for 4 to 6 weeks. So earlier today, it was reported on Twitter by one of these stupid accounts that he was out for 4 months. He has come on Instagram and says that he has hyperextended his knee again and was a bit pissed off about it because he thought that he was done. But from what we've seen and from some information I've looked up, he's likely to be out for a maximum of 6 weeks. He could be back within 3 weeks. So some good news for United heading into the Cup final, and McTominay for the Euros. I think it's good news, isn't it, on Monday?
Look, it's very sad, and it's another injury for a United player. I think we've got a Cup final coming up. I would have liked to have McTominay. He's scored a bundle of goals this year from midfield. He hasn't really played every single game. He's come off the bench a lot of the time as well. Undervalued by the fans, I think, and he's very effective. So I'm disappointed because I really want to get this FA Cup, and I think the more experienced players you have in the squad, like McTominay, the better chance you have. And I just think I'm really disappointed that he's been injured again. Hopefully, he will get back for the internationals at the end of the season. But I'm more concerned about Man United right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is really sad, and it's sad for him because he's going to miss the FA Cup final, and I'm sure he would have been up for it. The sort of character that he is.
I think it's touch and go for the FA Cup final.
When is the FA Cup final? What are we now? It's
29th of April.
Yeah, so 4 to 6 weeks will be in June. When's the FA Cup final? It's usually
May the 20th, I think.
Okay, yeah, it's gonna be tough.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame because he's literally one of our only reliable sources for goals, and I'm sure no matter what people say about him, they would love him on the bench for the FA Cup final.
Oh, for sure, and not just that, Bath time. It's like if you're building up to a FA Cup final as well, you want guys like that, homegrown players again, who know what it's all about, to be in and around the squad and really, show that sort of desire. Whether you're on the bench or in the change room, or, building people up, you need that. Otherwise, it's just gonna be a bit lackluster. When the chips are down, you need McTominay and characters like that and change room to really lift you up.
So look, it's May the 25th. There's a chance. There's a chance that he could be back for the cup final, because that's the third. That's almost the fourth week of May. We've got a couple of days left. It's about 4 weeks away, the FA Cup final. And knowing Heath, he'll probably have him on the bench, regardless. All right. So that's McTominay. Right. Time for the Ten Hag stuff. I'll just check the comments and see if there's anything here. No, nothing really. It's people just still talking about financial fair play and stuff. Right. I'm actually interested in reappointing Ten Hag, but he and the coaching team would be reluctant to walk away from United. Even if Ten Hag loses his job, there is acknowledgement that the coach may prefer to seek an opportunity at one of Europe's stronger leagues than return to Holland. So what we're getting from this is that Heath is kind of considering his future after United and doesn't want to go home. But have Ineos made a decision? Because the same guy, and I'm not sure how reliable he is, has reported that Ineos will not announce their decision on Ten Hag until the FA Cup final, which that could be that they haven't made a decision yet, or it could be that they have made the decision and that they're just waiting on it and allowing him, to play the final that he's got us to. And the Mirror are reporting that Thomas Tuchel is the serious candidate to take over. So first of all, Amonde, I want to ask you about Tuchel and about Ten Hag. What do you think, regardless of what happens in the final, do you think that Ten Hag is done?
I don't want him to go. I don't want it to be done because I think it would be an injustice. Okay, and I've stated this. Obviously, we're on the show every day. I've stated my reasons why. I think there's other factors that you need to assess before you turn on the manager. And those factors we're talking about, releasing players. Some of these players have really let the team down and the fans down. And I don't think Ten Hag has let the fans down. I've heard a lot of talk today about contradictions that he makes in his press conference. And the way I defend it is by saying, well, English is not his first language. He's got to be seen to be saying the right thing. And basically saying, F you, I'm going to say, yeah, we play. He said something along the lines of we're playing some of the most exciting football in the league, whatever. And people aren't happy about it. People say, how can he say that he's a fool? He's this and that. But he's under pressure. I don't want to gauge him on what he says in the press conference. I want to sort of be a bit more understanding about his situation. That's why I'm saying it's sad that he's in a situation now. After
but do you think, we all know you think it's sad, and we all know why, and we respect it.
We got to play Arsenal, and Arsenal went to Spurs yesterday, I think, and beat them at their own ground, North London derby things and everything else. If they come to Man United and win the title at Man United, because situation could change by then, City could lose or draw. That could be a big dent into Ten Hag as well. That's a massive game, even before the cup final, because of the pressures of the media, the fans, what people say. I think that game against Arsenal, if he can beat Arsenal, I think he's got a good chance of staying, because that will show something. Because no one's really been able to maintain Arsenal because they're on fire, they're hot right now, you know. But I think if we can go, if Arsenal come to Old Trafford, we beat them, that's a massive, massive result for Ten Hag, because he's beat them before at Old Trafford. If he does it again and puts a dent in their title campaign, that suggests to me and to everyone else from the outside, okay, maybe the injury story and all the other issues is valid, you know, in a way. But we have to. But then that's a big ask. But then asking us to go to Wembley, big old pitch like Wembley, and beat that Man City side, you know, that's even tougher. To keep your job, you've got to go and beat this Man City side. And the other thing as well about announcing the decision after the FA Cup or in around the FA Cup, I get that, because Klopp made a decision to announce he was leaving the club in January or around that time, December, January. The players are like, okay, yeah, we're going to play for you all the way to the end. After we beat them in the FA Cup, their form has just dipped. They've gone downhill, even to the point where some players are really showing their true face now. And I think Klopp didn't want to hug Salah. That's a stupid story being, you know, going up in the press right now. But it shows you, I think they're at the stage now, well, do we need to give 150% like we always do for Klopp? Another manager's coming in and they've just dropped off. The mentality, he's lost it. He shouldn't have made that decision. So I do think rather than make the decision now, that's a good thing. They should make it at the end of the season, which our last game will be.
Well, that's not what I'm asking. I think the decision's been made and it hasn't been announced for those reasons.
If it's been made, then basically it's gone.
Yeah.
If the way things are developing then, and they're waiting, otherwise they would give him a vote of confidence right now, wouldn't they? And say, no, he's in for next season. But clearly then, if that's the case, then he's gone.
Well, they haven't. I mean, to be honest, what the club should do, if they're with you and they want to keep Ten Hag, you know my thoughts on Ten Hag, but there are reasons why you might want to keep him. They would have done it by now, in my opinion. Like they would have told agents and all these sort of things. And I think that they're just trying to avoid a Van Gaal situation where, like, he was sacked. Basically, he knew he was sacked in the dressing room after winning the FA Cup, like, which is not how you. And you can see he's still bitter about it. But let's look at some comments. Right. I don't know about this, but something about changing the date for the United game. Come on, Darius. They made it months ago. I don't disagree, Andrew. I still think it's going to be De Zerbi. I bloody hope not. Dutch managers never do well in England. They just have awkward personalities and can't manage the dressing room. You're definitely right about them not doing well in England, and you might be right about their personalities. I can always remember Ruud Gullit dropping Shearer at Newcastle United, and Ruud was one of the better Dutch managers that we've had in the league. I think, was it De Boer? Was it Frank De Boer was the worst ever manager?
Yeah, Crystal Palace.
Okay, it's on the telly, so it's not going to be changed. Tuchel is a no from DK Wilson. All of them are no's. Steph is saying beat Arsenal and City. He can stay, no pressure, Eric. I'm not sure what lame duck Ten Hag ball looks like. It would be worse than Ragnick ball. I am not sure about that. I've never seen worse football than Ragnick's. Zanab, hello, how are you? Please not Tuchel. I'm hearing Ajax.
Can I just say big up to Zanab? How you doing, girl? Lovely to see you join us here on the agenda.
We've got James saying we lost more games with a full squad than with a weak squad. God, you know what? You're probably right there, James. And Steph is saying, if a decision has been made, it means he's staying because owners don't want players to switch off. Oh, wait a minute. Have they ever switched on? And we got 17 likes. All right. I can't remember what the next thing is. Some stats for you. Okay. Amonde, I think that when you look at these stats, these are difficult. These are difficult to take. Manchester United have failed to win 5 of their past 6 Premier League games. We've conceded 12 and scored 13 in those times. Okay. We're now on 34 games. At 34 games, Moyes had 57 points. Ten Hag has 54. Our remaining fixtures are Palace away at the weekend, Arsenal, Newcastle, Brighton, and then City in the Cup final. 58 is our lowest ever points total We stand on 54 points at the moment with 4 to go. 7th is our lowest ever finish. We're 1 point from 7th. Newcastle are in 7th, who we're playing at home. 49 goals is the lowest we've ever scored. But some good news, we've scored 52 so far. So there you go, that's a plus. 57 conceded is the highest. We're on 51. 16 wins is our lowest. We're currently on 16 wins. 12 defeats is our highest, and we are currently on 12 defeats. Looking at this, what are your thoughts?
We know this already. I mean, yeah, it's just stirring the pot, isn't it? He just added a bit more seasoning and hot sauce into this dish. It's for me, it's a no-brainer. Yeah, we all know this, but it has to happen before we can turn it around. And it's not. I don't think it's all on the manager. It's got to be on the players. Alex Ferguson came in, had a bit of an up. Second season, I think we finished with 11th or something stupid like that. I don't even know, but you go and check it out. Second or third season, we finished 11th. And they stuck with him because he was communicating with the board, saying, look, we need to sort of change. Similar situation, we need to change these players, get these group of players out, and then we start seeing results. And I think the same applies for Ten Hag. If he does stay, they will be thinking about Fergie. Maybe Fergie can have some say in this because he's been there. He acknowledges what it takes to really turn a football club around. And we're 10 years off winning a major trophy. Going to be 11 years now going into the new season. Yeah, stats don't look too good, but go and look at Fergie's stats after 2 seasons and then come back and talk to me.
Yeah, but I mean, it's different times. B, it's different. It was different times. That was then, this is now.
Half time, it's called the Man United agenda, but you've got a Ten Hag agenda because unless you're playing devil's advocate, darkest hour on me, you know full well.
What's darkest hour?
Darkest Howe, rest in peace. He was a devil's advocate. West India man. He used to do a show called The Devil's Advocate, and you're acting like him right now. And he used to push people's buttons to get the best out of them, to get them to respond and react emotionally. I'm trying to stay cool and calm here. I want Ten Hag to stay. I'm just disappointed with the players. I think like sometimes you think to yourself, why can't everyone see that there's an issue with the players here and the bad attitude? Get them out, and you'll see the true shining light that Ten Hag could play a good game of football and get us going. I don't know. You talk about these Zebi and Tuchel and Potter and all this guy. Nah, man, not for me, Star. I like Ten Hag. He's brave. He's brave the way he plays his football. He just needs braver, better players for it to produce. What we see right here, this data, these stats about the lowest this, the lowest that. I'm not interested in that. We scrap that, put that in the bin, and start dealing with the realness. If there's a project on board and he's communicating with the thing, if he knows his job's done, do you think he'd be, I don't know, how would you act? How would you be acting in front of the media? And, if you know, say, boy, I'm done out here, or there's been an ultimatum saying, if you don't beat Newcastle, or if you don't beat this game, that's pressure. That's added pressure you don't need. I think if you can look someone in the eye, like me and you get on bath time, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
We talk, are outside of Man United agenda, and we earn respect for each other because we can look each other in the eye and say, yes, bruv, both, A, B, and C, and that's how you earn respect. And I think if they turn on Ten Hag, or the type of two things, he knows he's done, and he's acting out and saying, yeah, whatever, or they're communicating with him. There's 3 things. He knows he's done. 2, they're communicating with him right now and saying, all right, you got to win this game coming up, or you got to win the following game coming up, and see at the end of the season where you stand. Or at the end of the season, you got to come 6th, for example. Or we don't mind you losing the final, the FA Cup, but you got to come 6th for some sort of status. Or it's a case of you're with us, we're keeping you, but just stay hush-hush for now and let the media play it all out. I just wish it was C. They're with him, and just let this all play out, and let's just focus on building his side because this is the project. The players are just customers, not customers. They're just like pawns, I believe, in this game of football. There's so much other thing going on above that. The players are the pawns. They come and go, trade, get these guys in to do a job. They're the ones on the front line doing the job. The other side of the football, the management, the coach, the hierarchy of the football club, they're the ones who dictate things. They're the puppet masters. So they should be all in cahoots together, and it shouldn't be pressure. Why can't you go and sack someone for not doing their job correctly? Like, did Benny McCarthy get sacked? I think is he out of the club?
But I think that they're all on the their jobs are being questioned.
Okay, fair. That's fair. But then please communicate with these guys. So you remain the motivation, and Ten Hag knows. All right, one of the three options that I gave you, something's going to happen, and whatever it is, it will be. But he just needs to. I just feel for the man, because any kind of football manager is a tough job, and the way football goes, it's always the manager that gets the stick and everything else. Yeah. David Moyes is a great example right now, Bath time, because he's a good manager. He's proven himself, but the West Ham fans still don't want him in the club for some reason. When
he's working, crazy.
When he's working with not very good players. You get another manager in there to do the same job, some fancy manager from Portugal, whatever. He wouldn't know how to deal with the team. He makes them good and effective, and won their first European trophy for years. Compared to Man United, Ten Hag's come in to a terrible club with really poor attitudes. Mourinho with Pogba and Martial, and he's got them in third place, got them a cup last year, got them in 3 cup finals. This is to balance all those stats earlier. This season, he's addressed the real issues, and that's why Ronaldo's left. That's why all these Rashford and Greenwood's issue, whatever that was done before, and the Sancho issue, he's had to address that and say, all right, I'm going to take my licks. He's like, I'm going to say it, but like, he's a sacrifice. He's being crucified right now. That image you gave on this thumbnail, it's like he's being crucified. He's got all this pressure on him to be the sucker who has to go and do all of this for the benefit of the club, for the benefit of good. And he's the one who's going to get crucified for it. That's what I don't like.
All right. First of all, I'd just like to say, before the show started, I told him Monday that I was going to send him some stats that would probably annoy him, but the point of it wasn't to annoy him. It was to show him an argument. And I'd like to congratulate Monday for remaining as calm as he was during that. We're going to go through some comments, and then we're going to do some rebuttals. Are you happy with that, Monday?
Yeah.
Is your blood on fire?
I'm cool. By the time we read the comments, hopefully the comments will cool me down because they'll be on my side. Unlikely.
Are you going to call me a voodoo, I don't know, whatever it was, devil's advocate again?
Dark as hell.
All right. DK Wilson is saying, why didn't people clamour en masse for ETH to go last season then? I think actually they did, DK Wilson. I think that Liverpool 7-0. I don't want to remember that dark time, but there were huge calls for him to go after that because it was a world record defeat against our old enemies. And in the summer, I was fairly clear in the fact that I had huge doubts about Erik ten Hag. But you know how people work, DK Wilson, is that when things are going well, they'll put up with stuff, and when things are going badly, they won't. And so a lot of people are fickle, but on the agenda, we have at least been somewhat consistent over the last year on our views on Erik ten Hag. So Montreal is saying Ten Hag is also guilty for persisting with the same old failures when he could have pulled resources from our dominant youth team to hope for something different of an outcome. And on Monday, this is something you spoke about earlier about having a plan of sort of getting the youth in and growing a team. Do you think that this is something that if he were to go back in time, Ten Hag might think actually maybe it would be a better idea to have done this?
No. Respect to Montreal, MEFC. Look, we're all mature adults here. Sometimes we bump heads, and I do think he's gone into the youths and brought a lot of players through. He's sampled Zidane Iqbal during pre-season. Didn't work out. He didn't think it was good enough. Fair enough. We have to accept that. I thought he looked like a good player. I was a bit disappointed. But then when you see a man like Kobe Mainoo and Garnacho come through, he's got Wheatley on the bench. He's got Amas, the left back, on the bench from performing really well. He's showing there's a way through. There's a progression here. Whereas in the past, the door's been locked. Not many players get get that sort of progression. As a young player, you want to see. There's so much disappointment as young players. You get to a certain level, you're top, you're smashing it, and then you can't get knock on that door for the actual senior team. There's no room in the end, you know.
Do you ever think about Angel Gomez and Alanga and think
Yeah,
maybe we pulled it a bit
hurts
quick
my
on them?
soul. That hurts my soul to today. Granted, people say, well, Angel Gomez ain't really a first teamer at Lille. He's a flipping good player, man. A flipping damn
He
good player.
dominates his age group.
Yeah, he did, but it's just like the height thing. He's not good. I was gutted. That guy was one of the best, for me, most talented player we've had since maybe
Morrison.
For me, for effectiveness.
Yeah,
I know Greenwood's come in and thing. He was talented, but Angel Gomez, even like seeing him, it's such a disappointment. You see, there's a guy, left-footed guy from Spurs, who ended up in Portugal. And now everyone, he's 25 years old.
No, I know who you mean. He's the proper road man, Marcus Edwards.
Edwards. Proper talented young player, too small. Spurs let him go. He's gone to Portugal, learned his trade over there. He's 25 years old. Now suddenly everyone wants him because he's
homegrown
player. There you go. Good point. There you go. That's So I see the same with Angel Gomez. Don't be surprised if Angel Gomez comes back to one of these Premiership sides soon, and we're thinking, oh my God, look at him. Look at Eze. Look at Eze he's 25, 26 now. This is a talent that's been in and around English clubs. He had just had the desire to get up and say, after being rejected, get up, go from club to club, end up QPR, work on his game, and now look at him. He's an amazing player, someone who would be a star at Man United. But for some reason, this is what I'm saying, there's a failure in English football. Some of these guys don't seem to make it. You might say, he's probably not got the right attitude, but there's other factors I think at play there, especially with these guys.
All right. We've got a point that I agree with here, is that the rotation of the squad has been terrible in both seasons. We know that Eric has his first team and he sticks to it. And, we saw Eriksen go off a cliff after an injury against Reading and things. We saw Casemiro, Varane, everyone, like Bruno is never dropped and stuff like that. That I believe that is a problem with his management style. And I think that this season, I argued with Andrew about this earlier. I think that when you look at McTominay's injury at the weekend and you look at Shaw, Martinez and Aaron Wan-Bissaka, I think his handling of players coming back from injury has been poor.
So I'll just throw something out. I don't want to interrupt.
Sure.
There was a stat. Here we go. Another stat out the other day that we've had 32 different back four combinations throughout the season.
I know, but I'm what you're saying there is that's unlucky. That no manager can work with that.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that the rotation of the squad and the handling of the players isn't unlucky and has contributed massively to that, where we saw Shaw in consecutive games go off before or at half time, and then we haven't seen him since. We saw Martinez come back from injury too early twice, like once where he got injured, and that time, do you remember he booted a ball against Maguire in a match, like not last month?
Yeah.
Like he was clearly not on it. McTominay has a hyperextension of the knee, which is exactly the same injury he got against Chelsea. And he was injured against Liverpool, played against Chelsea, got injured, and then played over 100 minutes against Coventry. Like, I think that Ten Hag isn't managing the squad well enough and is contributing to the injury issues.
Well, why can't we look at a player like Bruno, who can keep himself fit, and Dalot, who's showing a lot of professionalism and keeping himself fit and doing things outside of training, outside of the game, going home, not laying on the sofa, probably sitting upright, stretching at all times. Players have to do something.
But the thing is that the guy is managing player. Like, I agree with you that, like, maybe some of the, like, I mean, Licha Martinez got hammered for a month last year, and we haven't really seen him since the World Cup have a string of games together. So maybe that's on his professionalism. But what the manager can do is manage him effectively, and I don't think he has been managed effectively. And I don't think
the manager has to communicate with medical department, say, he's giving the green light, he's ready to go. The manager can't,
Well, we
really.
know with Aaron Wan-Bissaka that wasn't the case. That the
Okay.
medical department
So,
told him.
so this is where I'm saying people could be really I agree with you. That's that's a good point. But I think you're being really picky when you really look at the whole situation on the whole.
Yeah.
That's one minor little thing. We can say, oh, he's not a good manager because he brought him Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah, but it plays into a huge part of your argument, which is about injuries and being unlucky. And I'm saying that like, there's unlucky and is making bad luck.
Okay, that's fair. But then he's expecting better from professional players. I think he's expecting better. And if you get a better group of professionals in there who can meet the demands of a top level club, then you'll be all right. Klopp, look at the levels. I know you say they're up there with the eyeballs with substances, whatever, but their players, have a standard that they have to maintain. I don't think those standards have been at Man United for the last 10 years.
Okay, that's I agree with that point, but also you've got to remember that people like Bruno Maguire are playing injured at the moment, and I think that bringing McTominay on against Burnley was a mistake because he was in the red zone and likely to be injured. And what I'm worried about is that Ten Hag is managing for himself to avoid all these like lowest ever point scores and most defeats instead of managing the players and the club effectively. I think that this season, because of the injuries, he's reacted desperately a lot of the time, and that is I don't want any of my football players to be emotional on the pitch, and I certainly don't want my manager being emotional off it.
Well, don't make it a hot seat. Make it a comfortable seat where managers can actually afford to do that and justify doing it themselves. When you're in a hot seat, in a red hot situation, when everything's on you, the Man United agenda every day is talking about you. Bath time, Mondi and Mr. B are on your case, and Saeed and Stretford. Saeed.
Listen now, Saeed.
Yeah,
but the thing is, Amonde, that's also a good point. But the thing is that you have to deal with that as a Manchester United manager. Like a lot of the time, you'll see people like, why isn't Poch getting this? Why isn't this guy getting this? It's because they're not as a club with the stature of Manchester United. And one of the big things that I worried about with getting an Ajax manager in is that they haven't had this level of pressure before. And I think that with Ten Hag, when you see his post-match interviews and stuff, right, I'm not asking for him to come out like Ragnick and, start saying the players are rubbish and they all need to be sold and stuff. But there has to be a better response. And actually, I think that this is good, which is what he's doing. And I think that might be acceptable at a club like Ajax, but it's not acceptable at Manchester United. Do you know what I mean? We're always one match from disaster.
All right, that you're critiquing him, but so what would you say, Bath Time? You put yourself in his shoes. What would you say, knowing that you're under pressure, knowing that you're at one of the biggest clubs in world football, and it's a results game, and you need to win, and you have to justify it. You sit here and you do the eye test brilliantly, but you criticize and critique some of the things going on. Would you be saying that, like, when you pull out Casemiro for not getting back or whatever, would you say that to the press? Or would you say, I need to do some press training, media training, and understand I can't burn out and bury people. I just have to take this. And if people criticize me, so be it.
Well, I mean, there's two things that you need to do in life. You need to understand things you can change and things you can't change, right? So I would, in conferences where matches have gone bad, I'd focus on the mistakes that I made without throwing my players under the bus. So the things that I could have changed, I would highlight. And the stuff about what the players could have done, I would talk to them in private about that, because we're meant to be a family. And I don't want to be attacking people. Like, if Salah is being a dick on the sideline or something, I might mention it and say, like, look, this isn't acceptable, and we'll talk to him. But most of the time, I would try and take the blame on myself, because I would be the person that can most affect what is happening on the pitch with lineups, tactics, and preparing the team. And one of the things that I say about Ten Hag is I think he does prepare the team relatively well for matches. We always start quite well. There's always a way of scoring. The problem is the use of subs and adapting to the game always seems to be a problem for him. He doesn't seem to have the tools to be able to work things out.
There's a guy. Sorry, go on. Sorry, Buff.
I want to do the comments.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I won't interrupt. All right.
Are you sure? You can if you want.
Just one point. So there's Steve McLaren sitting on the bench. He was managing England. We're losing against Croatia. Croatia went into like 2 semi-finals of the World Cup recently. Good top side. And he had got his umbrella out because it was raining. Do you see how they criticised him just for that? He's a Wally Brolly or something like that. I mean, what? Yeah, it's funny. Okay, that's funny.
Yeah, but
it's stupid. It's damn stupid. And this is what the media think. So you just said Bath time that if it's you would say, where you would highlight to the media, you're giving them ammunition to say this is where I went wrong. Do you understand what I'm saying? And but the backlash to that, I guarantee you would never say that again.
Yeah, but I'm also not looking to manage Manchester United. Like, I would relegate us.
Right, because
absolutely no doubt.
And there.
Yeah, like I've never been a football club manager, but that I do know people, and I know that like as the media have to be kept at arm's length, and you have to look after the fans as family, and you have to look after your players as siblings, or like as your sons and your daughters, and that's how I would sort of do it. But Ten Hag is kind of acting like the voice of the government and a propagandist, talking about how great everything is as there's explosions behind him, and I think he's belittling himself when he does that.
Comments. I'd love to hear what the comments are saying. Anyway,
All right.
Interaction, involvement, participation. That's what we're about. Bath time. Talk to us. What are they saying? Right.
Well, POTUS is saying we should have kept Ollie. We're playing amazingly until Ronaldo came back to the club. He's what got Ollie sacked. I had a conversation with Dora today where I remembered that Ollie played a box midfield at Manchester United about 3 years ago, where Pogba played on the left wing, came inside, and all this stuff. And I looked at some still images of a game against Tottenham, and Ollie was, everything looked so much better. The men behind the ball, the spacing between the lines, but unfortunately, Ollie wasn't able to manage Ronaldo and make a functioning football team with him in it, and that was his job. And I love Ollie, and I think he's a much better manager than everyone thinks, but he had to go. And I personally think Ten Hag had to go after Liverpool as well, because that's the standards of the club. But if, in my dream world, we sack Ten Hag tomorrow, the doors open, and it's Ollie and Jose, and they're just coming in to win the cup, and then they're buggering off, and we're getting someone else in. That's what I would love to see, is get someone in to win the cup. He's got a little suitcase. He never opens it. Day of the final, he opens it. Out pops Fred. Oh,
guys, I love the world of Bath time. You're cool. Yeah. Brilliant.
Okay. We deserve better. Bath time. This is on the players. What nonsense! Your agenda doesn't blindside me. That's fair enough. We deserve better. I'm not pretending for 1 second I don't have an Erik ten Hag agenda. I never thought he was the right guy to get in, and I've never been convinced by what he's done. But I do think that I'm making reasonable arguments instead of like emotional ones and things. Steph is saying last season we scored 58, conceded 43. Not much difference. Needs strengthening up. We bought only Højlund in. We signed him injured. We did buy Mount and Onana as well. And this is the thing, Steph, is that I thought he should have gone at the end of last season for these sort of things. Like 58 scored, 43. I think we were very lucky a lot last year. Like, we won a lot of games, like 1-0 and whatever, and we relied a huge amount on Marcus Rashford. I didn't see a system last year. All right. Amonde, Darius is a good faith argument for this. This means that I'm not trying to make you look stupid. And we deserve better, says, well said, Amonde. He agrees with you.
Or Monday.
Yeah. And then this is an interesting point, is that Andrew says that he only criticises junior players. So when you're talking about ridding the club of weeds and bad apples and things, his handling of Marcus Rashford, which I've changed my mind on recently because I think Marcus needs help. Like, I think that tweet he put out at 12:30 is a bit of a cry for help, to be honest. Like, it's really sad.
What tweet?
He tweeted at 12:30 on Friday night that he quote tweeted someone who said something like, all this season, all I see is abuse to Marcus Rashford. And he said, yes, it is abuse and it needs to stop. It's unfair, like paraphrased. And what are you shaking your head at there? You don't like that?
can't take the pressure, come out the kitchen. You can't take the heat, come out the kitchen. I don't have sympathy.
On Monday, you have literally just excused the pressure on Ten Hag and Steve McLaren.
Yeah, but I'm saying with Marcus Rashford, I can see Ten Hag giving his all. I don't see Marcus Rashford giving his all. And then he's complaining about things like this. If Ten Hag had a night out or done some foolishness like Sam Allardyce or got caught out by the you know what I mean? Then he can say that. But be professional. Ten Hag's being professional. Some of the players aren't. That's the difference.
All right, but in that case, Monday, I think that Andrew is correct when he says that Eric bent over for Marcus and he bent over for Jadon Sancho. One's out of the club, one isn't. Rashford, you say he's not giving full commitment and stuff like that. Why is he being played if you think that Eric is here to sort of...
Let me say this. I was having a good conversation at work today with one of my colleagues, and first time we really spoke, young African boy, big up Ade. He's 27 years old. He wants to be successful in life, and do things. And the thing is, I said to him about relationships with people, about being too familiar with people. Because where I work, we work with vulnerable people. We have to be really protect yourself because you could have allegations against you, all kinds of things, So I'm the master of that now, The way I deal with things now at my age, I said it comes from age and wisdom. About if you get too close to people, they can penetrate, they can put their thing on you. They look for cracks, they look for weaknesses in your character. Mm-hmm. This is what happens. And everyone will understand what I'm saying here, So you have to have a field around you where you can protect yourself. You can have or you can be good. I made a girl, shouldn't we say, but I said some kind words to someone today, made them cry with emotion, brought it out and, helped them. Do you understand what I'm saying? But you can't be vulnerable or show weakness when you're in a position of respect and power. I won't say power, management, which I'm in with my work. So, and any kind of relationship you have with people, you have to show that, because people who are immature and like the media, some players, fans, they will look for cracks and weaknesses. You're talking about the stats. Oh, he brought off. He's in handling of injuries are poor. They're looking for little minor things when someone's trying to be professional. It's like your boss. Everyone hates the boss. Yeah, all right, boss. How you doing? As soon as he leaves the room, WANKER or BITCH. Everyone does it because the one person being professional, everyone who's very immature or below that, they hate that person. Mum, why can't I go out? Why are you always grounding me? It's for your own good. Oh, I hate you, Mum. But you soon learn someone has to be responsible. Adult, parent, child. Ten Hag's being the adult. Some people are in child mode, fans, some players, media. Some people be in parent mode, which is wrong. Wagging that finger. But you need to be in adult mode. And then that's the structure that we all need out here. Ten Hag's been in adult mode from day one. That's why I respect the man, and he's dealing with children.
Yeah, but he's treating them as children, and I always say this, Simon. Unfortunately,
you have to. If you're acting like a child and you think, then you are going to get dealt like a child.
He's telling them what socks to wear for breakfast on pre-season tours.
People need discipline. Even some so-called adults need discipline.
Yeah, when I was in my 20s, Varane,
we all know. We're not going to expose each other, but we know when we were in our 20s, we needed discipline.
Yeah, I'm not lie for 1 second that I was very naughty, and I've done things that Rashford has done. Now I'm very sensible.
That's another show.
I was a naughty boy. Now I want to really ram through the comments here.
Sorry, I keep stopping. Don't ask me nothing. Just go.
People have I want to respect people's time here. All right. So Andrew is actually, sorry, Mr. POTUS, he's a puppet when it comes to every press conference. He's just saying what the bosses upstairs want to hear. And that was one of the points that you made about keep quiet, toe the line. Yeah. Eric has bent over for Marcus. We've done that one. All right. I see it in Ten Hag's eyes too. Men and their need for shiny new toys. Andrew is right here. Ten Hag should have axed the likes of Rashford a long time ago if there was anything brave in him. I will give Ten Hag some credit that on the Brentford game where McTominay scored that double, he took Casemiro off at half-time, and the reason he gave was he wanted to play football. I think that was terrible man management, but it was brave. We just don't see a lot of, maybe it was desperate, but we don't see a lot of that anymore. 10 players out definitely. Remove unwanted, not good enoughs once and for all this summer with our number 10 first to go. I thought we were going to be able to do an entire show without someone bringing up Bruno. Right, Amonde, you're right, accused according to DK Wilson. James is saying he wanted him out last year. Good lad. No structure, no best in class. Players throwing managers under the best. No scouting department, no director of football, no recruitment. Tripe coaches, Fletcher, bit unfair. Second highest amount of injured players in a European team. So these are all like excuses that we deserve better is giving. Agile is saying that this is going back to James Gomez and Hel Gomez. Ghana was a mistake. He'd be useful in our team now. And Andrew is saying that Gomez was great in the under-21s last summer. Absolutely. Absolutely, he was. Considering our injury crisis, it would have been a refreshing thing if Ten Hag did what Van Gaal had to do for the time it's necessary to see kids in action. We beat Arsenal 3-2 with kids. Rashford scored in that game, I think. Bit of a downer, but Dora's here.
Hi, Dora. How you doing?
She's saying Shaw would go first out of the club if she were in charge. I have to agree on this. Shaw's injury record is appalling. I'm not hating him as a player, but I mean, it's like if you have a door that doesn't lock, it's not really doing its job. Every decent team tries to have a settled 11. We have no decent depth for F's sake. What I'd come back to you there as we deserve better is he spent 400 million. Like he had the opportunity to change that. Steph is saying, do Portuguese players all have cryogenic chambers? It wouldn't surprise me if they did. Ten Hag has to duplicate himself 10 times to resolve all the invisible department heads he is having to bridge. Whether we like it or not, his rigid views about youth players combined to his poor squad rotation is responsible for the current mess. And Steph is saying, control the controllables, 100%. And look, we got Rich in the house saying hello. And who is this? My long departed friend, Teddy. Well, us Irish, like our Scottish cousins, love the old welly throwing guys. And there's so many comments here. We got Richard Hawkins, who I can't remember if you're new or not, Richard, but welcome. It's always nice to see you. I don't buy the whole ETH thing of him saying he's brought kids from the academy through, because I've been going to watch United since 1966, and I haven't been this frustrated since Frank Farrell. Great to see that you're here, Richard. We always appreciate match-going fans, and especially people of an older vintage that have seen a lot that's going on. And I agree with this point because Garnacho is basically benched like Anthony. And think like a lot of the signings have been replaced by youth players, and I think it's too early. I would still like to see Garnacho and Kobe used as impact subs or like in less important games. He brought the kids through out of desperation. Completely agreed. We've got Montreal. With all due respect to anyone suffering abuse out there, oh no. I hope everyone watches or has watched the Netflix documentary on David Beckham to understand how he survived. No one got worse than he did. The only thing I'd say about that is Beckham never had to put up with social media. Like, it would have been insane if social media had been around with the abuse that David Beckham got with dartboards and things on fire. But the club rallied round him. Okay. Right. I've blocked you. Okay. Andrew and someone else are fighting. Ha ha, bath time. Very funny. Yeah. Sorry, Dora. All right. I've forgotten where we were, but I did write down what you said, Amonde, about Ten Hag. And one of the key things you had is that it was unfair to set expectations of you have to beat this and you have to be, you have to do this or you have to do that, right? That you've got to finish above 6, got to beat City, you've got to beat Arsenal. Yeah. I mean, surely that is part of a Manchester United manager, is that there are expectations that you have to hit. during the season, and if you don't hit them, your job's on the line.
KPIs, isn't it? Key performance
indicators. Yeah.
Yeah. But my point is, I think it's a bit unfair based on what's happening at the club. We're going through a change, and when you go through, to reach peace, you have to go through war, don't you? And I think that's what we're going through right now. We're going through a war to save the club. That's the goal at the end of it. And there are going to be casualties, and people will lose not their lives, God forbid that, but we will lose some of our favourite players. Some of the staff around the club who have been there, been too comfortable, will have to leave. This is the war that we're going through right now, and in higher places. It's a quote from the Bible, but I won't go into that. But anyway, so I think that's when we get the peace. So on one side, you've got Ratcliffe coming in and talking, and I think he's a straight talker, and you got to walk it as well. So you talk it and you got to walk it, and he's doing that right now. I'm quite impressed with the way he's going about his business. He's a bit shrewd as well, and he won't mess around. I think he's a businessman, as you know. He's very successful in the business world, and you don't mess around. You have to. There's no time. Business never personal. EPMD, as they say. So I think Ten Hag understands the nature of the game and the nature of the beast that he's dealing with his people above him. He's got to do the best he can do with the conditions that he's got. The conditions are put in place by previous owners. Ratcliffe's aware of that. So asking him to beat a City or beat an Arsenal or Newcastle right now, putting too much pressure on them, understanding the way we're crumbling, the way we're falling apart. We've got terrible stadium. We've got terrible foundation at the club. I think that's too much to ask, and it's a bit unfair. Let the man do his job with good conditions and give him the opportunity to do that. So I think if Jim Ratcliffe is the man I think he is, I think he would take that all on board and not put too much pressure on him to win the FA Cup final or to come sixth or beat Arsenal as a condition of him keeping his job.
All right. There's been some arguing in the chat about homophobia and things. Can we just talk to each other like adults and not bait people and not overreact? And I'm not saying that someone is overreacting or someone is baiting, but you're all guests in our house and we all want you to treat each other with respect. Talking about Manchester United will get people aroused and inflamed and things like that, and we want all of you to get on and things. So can we just try and respect each other?
Well said. Forgive people. I forgive you, Andrew. I forgive whoever else is arguing in the comments.
What's Andrew done?
I don't know. Whoever's arguing, I don't know. But we forgive you. Just learn to forgive and get on with it, guys. We're one big family here.
Yeah, I think that you should always look at intent in things, and no one is trying. Exactly. I won't let anyone in this chat talk in a way that I think is disrespectful to the chatters. You can say whatever you want to me. I've been called a fascist, a communist, a racist, homophobic, homoerotic, all in the same show, actually. And things like that. So, let's, you're all part of our community, and we're not. It's true.
Oh, bath time, boy.
Do you not remember when I got accused of being the leader of the most racist YouTube channel? It was absolute nonsense. All right. We're going to finish up now with a little bit of what's coming up this week. Is there a quiz tomorrow, Monday?
I'm hoping so. I've been let down. The person I wanted to come on has let me down last minute, so I'm desperately looking for someone to take on the challenge.
Okay, so hopefully there'll be a show tomorrow. There will not be a show on Wednesday because I want to watch the Champions League. But we believe Mr. B will be back with us on Thursday and Friday, where we will have shows. And look, if Ten Hag gets sacked, we'll do a show. We have to. Or if something big happens, we have to. But we're looking at Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday for the rest of the week, and maybe watch-alongs at the weekend. But we're always delighted that you come and join us and spend your time with us. And if you could just talk to each other in a manner that means that people enjoy their time here as well, I'd be really happy. So have you got anything? Anything to say along
really. Richard Hawkins was talking about how long he's been a fan, and I think that pre-Premiership football and people who have been around in that era, I've always loved to hear from insight from you guys. And he made a great point about the previous manager. He hadn't seen us that poor or whatever since then. And people don't know these names anymore. It's always great. So thanks, Richard, for joining us and sharing your insight about the good old days, or not so good old days under Frank, the manager.
And Steph has followed that up with some Rihanna references, which I find quite amusing.
I just read that. It's pretty funny. I don't know anything about Rihanna, but yeah.
Yeah. All right, boys and girls. Thank you so much. And we will hopefully see you tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and good night from me.
It was good night from me. Thank you, Bath Time. Thanks, guys, in the comments.